Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Wheels, the show that champions all riders, from world champions to weekend warriors, where everyone has their story to tell. And today the story is being told by Seb Grindley. He's a former guest, so it's a bit of a catch-up, and it's great to see his progression. It's quite something to go from junior to under 23. There's so many different changes that occur, and I think it's a really interesting chat that we have with Seb. So yeah, just sit back, relax, and enjoy this New Year's treat. Before we actually get going, there's a couple of things. Firstly, there were some tech issues during this, so if you hear the sort of bell noise that we put after this intro, that's going to signal where a tech issue was. It'll be a bit of a random cut, but it will, that just covers that. And the second thing is, actually this episode is coming out on my birthday, so yeah, if you could be so kind as to check whether you're subscribed. I like seeing number go up, if I'm honest. So if you're not yet subscribed, just drop us up. You know, it doesn't cost anything, and it would be lovely to see. But now let's hear me chatting with Seb. Hi, thank you so much for joining me. It's always lovely, I find, to have like a returning guest and someone we chatted with before. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Oh.
Perfect time.
Literally, as I just started, we
could not make it up.
I'm in the team apartment now, so yeah, things are going well. I'm just kind of living in Girona. Like I said, we have a team place here, so guys from the team can come here when they like, rent free. It's a good location. It's ideal, really. I mean, especially for us guys, Devo. It's cheaper living here, you know, in a rent-free place than it is at home almost. So we're better riding. It's like a no-brainer, really, to come and stay here. But like you said, it does get quite busy at points. You know, right now we have 5 guys in the apartment, so yeah.
Does that make it a bit crowded?
It's quite a big place. It's enough for 5, but I wouldn't. It's pushing it. I wouldn't like to go more. Yeah.
Does it make it easy then to go out training? Because like everyone's there. I guess, like in some ways you're like, everyone's here. That's great. We can just all go for a ride. But then if you've got specific goals, like if you're meant to do hill repeats and someone else is meant to just do like 20k steady, it doesn't really work.
Yeah. No, I know. I see what you mean. But no, I think it's a good environment to like train in. The other lads have just come in now.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, sorry if there's a little bit of noise. But yeah, I think it's good. Like, you know, they're all motivated lads. And it's also good that, you know, their teammates, the people that you want to bond with, really. Guys, to have a relationship with them is quite good, you know. Everyone's quite tight-knit when it comes to racing in the season. So the more time we spend together, you know, the closer we all get. And I know at least with the guys in the apartment now, like, we seem to be getting on really well. And, you know, by the time it comes to even like the first few camps and stuff, we're all really well integrated, especially for the new guys. Got Harry Hudson, so junior world champ from this year in Rwanda. He's here right now. Been here for a few days, and obviously he's only joining us this year. So to kind of have him here, it's quite nice, you know, to get to know him, and he's getting to know quite a few of the lads, and yeah, we just kind of all build good bonds while we're here, and we can all kind of bounce off each other in the training, and especially when it comes to group riding and stuff like that, you can get plenty of guys together, so it makes life easier.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you about Harry, because obviously I have chatted with him a couple of episodes ago, shortly after he won, and like, yeah, coming into the Evo team, like
he's got you as a fellow Brit to kind of.
Yeah.
Are you gonna Are you intending to show him the ropes, or are you just gonna go? Well, we're in the same team. Just it helps just to mix anyway, rather than be like the Brits
Yeah.
and kind of cliquing up.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that kind of connection you get with someone of the same nationality
Hmm.
as a Brit. We do get drawn together a little bit, but I know last year I was the only Brit, at least on the Devo, and I had a great time. We've got Liam O'Brien also in the apartment, Irish. Last year we had a couple Aussies, Americans, and even the guys who aren't native English speaking. English is like obviously the main language spoken within the team, and they speak it great. And there was some really really good personalities last year, so I felt really comfortable a part of the team, even being the only Brit.
Hmm.
So I'm sure it'll be the same with Harry. But yeah, I did say to him, I said to his mum as well. I said, I'll take him under my wing a little bit and show him the ropes. But he seems to be getting hold of it fairly sharpish, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's been crazy because last time we spoke, I think you'd done Roubaix. I think
Mm.
that's I don't even know if you'd signed for Lidl-Trek at
Mm.
that point.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact timing we spoke. I remember like some of the topics that we spoke about, but I can't remember where in the season it was. I believe I remember talking about Roubaix, so it would have been after that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I would have signed for the team really not long after that, really, or maybe even by that point. It was definitely around Roubaix time, just
yeah,
afterwards that I had signed as a second year junior. So come a long way since then.
yeah. Clearly, because you won Mendips, you won Tour of Wales, which always a great thing to have on the Palmares.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
number of people who've won it in the past, and because I think G won it. I want to say, and so many people who are like top level pros. So it's like clearly it's a good mark of how good a rider is if they've got that. You got. Do you win a stage of a Kaiser's Tour thing? The one in
I
Belgium, but I
won.
can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Contich or something like that. I won a stage of
Hmm.
that. Podium the GC, Orbital as well. A hilly one around the Asia area. Again, podium GC and podium a few stages. I had a really, really strong back end to the season actually as a junior.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if we kind of lead from where we left off on last podcast,
Hmm.
I think from there it was kind of just up and up and up. I think after signing, especially, I I was just motivated. There wasn't any kind of like stress isn't the right word, but there wasn't any stress to sign or get something sorted for the next year. I was kind of just relaxed and just had my aims in mind, and it was purely self motivated or like the only like reason behind my training and like results was like, yeah, all right, I've got this result in mind. I just want to do well here for myself, not to look good for scouts or
Hmm.
not to, do you know what I mean? That there was
Yeah, of
that added
course.
pressure taken off my shoulders, and I kind of flourished under it. I think as a junior, and yeah, I look back on last season, kind of 2 seasons ago now, but I look back on it with a lot of pride actually because I did finish off really well.
Yeah, I mean, literally before Harry won in Rwanda, you were the best junior British male world result, which is a bit of a mouthful, but
Yeah,
no British male had won the juniors before, and
yeah,
close was that second in Switzerland. Like, how was that?
yeah,
Because that was obviously a really tricky time. I can't remember the exact order of the races, and what happened in the junior women's was a real tough
yeah,
situation. Um, but like Lorenzo Finn kind of the race, or well, won.
yeah,
Yeah, he won convincingly.
yeah. It's fair to say.
But you got second, which is like crazy for a Brit to get that because I think fourth was the previous best if my memory's any good. Like,
Yeah, I believe. I mean, Stu Blunt, who kind of like runs a junior GB road track program, he was like the kind of DS manager, whatever you call it, at Worlds, and he was also the previous year in Glasgow. And his kind of both years, his kind of pep talk before the race was like, lads, this is the only event really where we've not had a podium, we've not had a win. The junior males, we've got not a lot of pressure. We have no pressure really, but we've got a lot on the table to kind of gain. So that was quite nice to hear beforehand, and it was also really cool. Like 1K to go or something, he pulled up behind me. I had barely seen the team car all race, to be honest. Being up by the front and it being such a hard race, guys dropping off the back. So the only time I actually spoke to Stu was maybe like 1 or 2K to go, and he pulled up next to me, celebrating with me, giving us a fist bump out the car, and it felt like a really big achievement. Definitely, I would still say it's probably, even to now, my first year as an under 23, I've had some really nice experiences so far, but in terms of results, it doesn't really compare to that world's podium as of yet. So, it was a really, really good ride, and proud of it.
Yeah, and then obviously you go into pre-season. What's that first training camp feel like? Because now it's like, oh, you're with the big boys now. Even as a Devo team, it's still like, I don't know. I feel like juniors kind of maybe doesn't feel real, whereas under 23, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going pro now. Like this is
it's a good way to put it. To be fair, it definitely felt real at the time, juniors. But I look back at it now, I'm like, it's another level. Or the step up anyway. It's just completely different. I'll go into my first few races with Lidl, I'm sure, later on in the podcast. But at least like coming out, I did Worlds straight into off season, did 3 weeks off. Just had a really nice time. Obviously, end the season on a high. Felt amazing. Meant I could really relax in my off season, and came back onto it. Had a couple of weeks on the bike and then straight into December camp, really, which was a complete shock to the system. I went from Fensham-Howes Mass Design as a junior, led by Giles and Sonia Pidcock, and I love my time on Fensham, but the difference between a junior team, it was the lads like Giles, Sonia, Simon Belden also helped out, Darren Bush, and but apart from those 4 guys, it was a lot of just the riders' parents as well that coordinated and ran the race trips too. So it was a very tight knit crew at Fensham. And I came to December camp, and there was Christmas parties and stuff like that. In Calpe it was, and I want to say there's about 230 staff on Lidl-Trek, and the camps are all staff and riders, the whole team combined. And I think one of the first nights I was there, we had the Devo team, men World Tour team, female World Tour team, and all of the staff in one kind of room having this Christmas party, and we had annual awards. I knew maybe 5 names in the room, and I was just overwhelmed. Some of my biggest idols who I'd watched on the TV over the past, many years, they were there, just kind of not regular people, obviously, but seeing them on TV compared to seeing them in real life is really something quite crazy. And then obviously just the amount of staff, it really, really shows the level of and professionalism of a team like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask how much do you mix, and then when you started talking about Christmas parties, I was like, that's actually such a surreal experience that it must be for any cyclist, because you sign October's the end of a season, so you sign for a new team. You could be involved in training camps, and then having Christmas parties one of your first interactions with the team is, we're gonna get absolutely wasted, or within reason, depends on the team. Obviously, I'm sure everything's fully professional, and then we're gonna do awards for what's happened over the last year where you've not been there. It's that's not day one, but that's one of your first few months and first experiences.
Literally. I mean, I think December camp is a little bit more professional, which is what I did as my first one as I joined. I actually ended up missing October camp last year. I had a little bit of illness, and it's better not to come and pass it on to Matt Pedersen or you know what I mean. I thought a little bit of illness. It's probably best I give October camp a miss. So that was a bit of a shame, really, as my first year. And December camp is a little more professional. We have Christmas camp, maybe a few guys have some drinks, but it's all within reason. As it gets close to the season. But this year's October camp was my first one in October. Everyone's just finished their season. Everyone's starting off season. And obviously for guys like Harry and the other new first year U23s that were coming up, I can't imagine what they must think it's like on the team, because October camp is nothing like anything else we do. It's just insane. Like you said, we've got really tight knit team. Although it's such a big community, especially within the riders, it seems like a really good atmosphere. And the women's world tour, men's world tour, it's all together. And October camp was definitely hectic, I'll say that, but it's just really, really good to bond with the new guys, bond with the different teams, and that's definitely an experience.
Yeah. You've got me thinking that, which member of the wider Lidl-Trek teams is the biggest party animal that you saw?
Obviously, even the world tour, there's guys that have just stepped up from Devo. I'll have to give credit to Tim Torn, TTT. Yeah, he won Roubaix U23, stepped up to World Tour last year. It was his first season. He knows how to party. I give him credit for that. Jakob Soderquist, Albert Philipsen, a lot of the young guys, they're really giving it to the older ones. But I won't discredit Mads and Tom Schoen and stuff like that, because again, they also they can let loose and have fun. I'll just say that. It was really, really cool seeing them in that completely different environment. Level-headed, serious, motivated to train, and it was just complete night and day.
Yeah, but I think that those sorts of nights just bring you together almost. I've been to a few rugby dinners, or I say a few, one rugby dinner, but I still remember it, and a couple of my mates were oh yeah, do you remember that time where a guy put his head through a wall, and it was it's just these things that happen that I guess bond you and make you stronger as a team.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the purpose of October camp. It's not who can drink the most, or it's not nothing like that. It's still a cycling team, and you have staff there, and but it's there's professionalism. You're not offending anyone. It's nothing completely crazy, but you're just having a nice time with the team, with the staff, and everyone's bonding. And it's just nice to have at the end of the season as well. You work so hard, and it's just releasing a little bit of pressure that you've had built up. And I think it's necessary, really, especially when it's everyone's off season and stuff like that. It's kind of like seeing colleagues out of work almost. That's probably the closest I can relate to what I've seen, at least on TV. I haven't really had a proper job yet, but it's just letting your hair down and having a nice time at October camp.
Yeah, awesome. So then, going into the start of the season just gone, how did you find the step up in terms of races? 'Cause I assume they're allowed to be longer. There's going to be, men my age, older than me. You're not just in age group, and you're not on restricted gears either, which probably feels nice. What was that change
also
like?
As a junior, we weren't on restricted gears as well. Actually, I think we were the first year. Of course, we were the first years to not be on restricted gears. So that wasn't.
Well, we say that I'm pretty sure there were riders in my age group who were not on restricted gears, but officially were on restricted gears.
Yeah.
You hear stories about people swapping the cogs round so that the highest is actually hidden in the cassette somewhere, so it
really?
passes. I've heard, like, I've no idea. I wouldn't know how to do it. I just didn't bother. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. It's all right. Yeah, I believe when I was junior, it was some of the first years when they got rid of the gear restriction. So on that front, it wasn't any different, but the gears were definitely a lot bigger. The races just so much faster, so much longer. And it was a massive learning curve. I know I actually ended up doing a few races in January, like properly early ones. We did January camp, and at the back end of it, there's 2 races in Spain. I think one was, I don't want to say it because I'll butcher the pronunciation, but Camp de Morvedra was one of them that I did, and then followed up by GP Valencia, which was maybe 2 days later. And these are just plain UCI races. There's World Tour teams there, and I just come out of, just out of juniors, barely done a winter because it was, I ended my season end of September, and it's mid-January, and I did 2 races, and GP Valencia went up Col de Rats and a few others, and it's like, it was just such a crazy experience. Like the speed, like I said, the distance. We have team radios as well, so that was also a new experience for me. And just racing some guys that, like I said, I've watched on TV. It was mental. And like I said, even juniors didn't feel like real racing. Obviously, it was at the time, and it meant a lot. And I look back on it now, I'm like, it's completely different. Like the first race I did, that Camp de Morvedra, I was getting a bit hyped on the start line, and in the neutral, I'm kind of like moving my way through, as I would do in a junior race. It's like flaming. Everyone's got their arms out in the neutral, just and then the neutral car pulled off, and I managed to work my way to the front row, and I pretty much just got out of the saddle to do like a full gas sprint behind the neutral car, as you would do in juniors. It's in juniors from start to finish. It's just attacking full gas, and it's just completely uncontrolled. But I literally just kind of like got a gap instantly, and I was like, I need to stop here. Like everyone's kind of just like slowly going by. I kind of embarrassed myself almost in my first race, but it's just one of the things that juniors do. It's just something I had to learn, and that's just one of the many things that have completely changed from juniors now to U23/senior racing.
Yeah. Actually, I've done something similar as well, of like being behind the car and then it comes off and you're like, oh, better go. And then no one goes with you. And you're like, oh, I guess we're doing a breakaway then.
Yeah.
But then you did, like, I saw you did Le Samar. I think that's how you pronounce it, the Belgian one, which is like back on Belgian cobbles where you got your win last year. Well, similar place, I guess.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it must be near Nokkara and Kurza, but I could be wrong. But like, I think did you get top 10 there?
Samin? No. No, Samin I didn't, but I spent the day in the break there. I was like, I classed that as my first race. I think the 2 races I did in January, they were practice races, I would say. Like the team said, there's no pressure. It's the 20th of January or whatever it was. And it's like, listen, we do the training camp. We trained the whole way up to these races, and these 2 races, they just went, all right, treat it as 2 hard training days to finish off the camp. Like, don't even, obviously, race for a result, but if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world. And so I classed my first proper race as Samin, and that was racing up actually with the World Tour. Kind of, obviously, you can't race World Tour races as Devo, but it's with the World Tour DSs, the World Tour staff, and some of the World Tour riders as well. Like Tim de Klerk, for example, he was one of the guys who was on that Samin team. Someone I'd looked up to, seen on the telly literally since I started watching cycling. So really, really cool. And a couple of days before Samin, I saw that Mathieu van der Poel was announced on the start list. And I was like, it wasn't like fear or anything like that of racing it. I was just like excitement, really. I was just so, I just thought it would be such a cool experience. Literally one of my idols of the sport, like one of my heroes, and racing him, and pretty much my first race out of juniors. And me and a local, well, kind of local to me, but he was also on Fensham as a second year. He's called Joe Cosgrove. He was riding for Lotto Kernhouse last year. And, I spent the first 10, 15K of the race with him because it's really, apart from the fight for the break, it is really a relaxed start because, they're long races and a lot of the action comes in the back end. A break goes, everyone sits up. And before the break went, I was kind of just with him mid-bunch, just kind of like chatting with him about how nuts this whole environment is and how it's just so different. And then we were talking, and then maybe 5 minutes later, we looked for it, and Matthew Van der Poel is just literally right in front of us in the bunch. And I'm just, it was like a completely surreal feeling, really, for us both. And we were just like, well, you're just kids, aren't you, really, racing against these fully fledged world tours, almost at the peak of their careers, and it really was mental. But it was also a good race. I got my first breakaway experience. Didn't really go anywhere. We actually got caught quite early as well, but it was, again, just a really good learning experience, which is all about. Well, it's what all the U23 racing is about, almost. Prepping you for World Tour or seniors afterwards.
Yeah, because there was I didn't write it down, unfortunately. There was a race where I think you got top 10. I want to say 7th.
Right.
I was going to ask, like,
Olympias Tour.
Yeah, it was.
Stages.
I remember it being it was a UCI race and like 2.2 rather than being a U23, because that was going to be my question of, like, what's it like going into a bunch sprint against a load of blokes? Like, again, like, some of them could even be double your age, quite conceivably, without it being outlandish. Like, how does it feel? Like, what's going through your mind in a bunch sprint like that?
Yeah, Olympias Tour especially, like, probably not a good example for the pro racing. It's chaos. I think it's got a really, really pretty bad reputation for how carnage the racing is at Olympias Tour. It's just super fast, super narrow Dutch lanes, a lot of road furniture, just mental riders and crosswinds, and it all comes together to pretty much just being like a bit of a crash fest as well as just hard racing. So that race was all about kind of just like staying upright, if I'm totally honest. And but it was a completely different to. Sorry, we got another guy in Newfoundland. Yeah, it was just completely crazy. Like, these guys are humongous. I mean, obviously, I'm a big rider, but, like, I wouldn't say I'm fully developed, if that makes sense. Like, I'm at the end of the day, when I was racing Olympias Tour, I was still 18. So, like, terms like the muscles and just the sheer like the broadness of some of these guys who are racing, especially in these like Dutch Conti teams, like Volker Vessels, for example, or Beat. It was just like nuts, and trying to circumnavigate like a sprint finish against these guys, against these full lead out trains in crosswinds on narrow roads. It was, again, a lot of learning done through that week, but I came out with some good results, actually. Unfortunately, I did crash on like 30k to go on the final stage. I'd made it through all the other stages unharmed. And it was like I said, there was at least like 20 DNFs every stage from crashes. So the field had been whittling down and down. And then there was like a group of maybe 25 guys max in the front split on the final day, which I'd made it into. I was feeling quite good, quite happy with a couple of my teammates too. And then, like, just crosswind, someone's overlapped the wheel, and then before we knew it, there was like 10 of us from this front group that were all in the canal. So there was no coming back from that, really, and it was a DNF to finish it. But I don't really look at it with any negative thoughts. It was just a lot of learning, and it was the first time in like a UCI race anyway, like not just a U23 race. It was the first time in a UCI race where I felt competitive and like almost as if I was fighting for the win, or at least good results.
Yeah, and I guess one question that I've not asked, that I can't remember if I asked last time, and potentially it's even changed, is like, how do you see yourself as a rider? Like, where are you strong? Where do you think you're still to develop? Like, because
Yeah,
that world's result, that's not an easy race. Like that in Switzerland, that was a tough course. But then
yeah,
Olympia's tour, that's going to be flat as anything, and you'd still get in top tens.
yeah,
You know, Le Saman going in a break, like that's cobbles. Like, yeah, where do you
yeah.
see your strength?
Um, yeah, I think as a junior, at the end of the day, I think if you're strong as a junior, I think on most courses you can do well. But I was also quite a lot lighter as a junior. Like I was at least, I probably put on 5 kilos, not of fat, just 5 kilos of like
Sure.
muscle from being a junior to a U23. So I think um, on the climbs, I was still fairly competitive, even though I was one of the bigger guys, even as a junior. I was competitive on the climbs. But I think now I'm finding myself like specializing a bit more on uh, those types of racing, like Olympias, Roubaix. But I also do like to climb. I like a hard course, but obviously, at the end of the day, I'm not built to win Grand Tours, to win mountain stages. But you know, a climb 10 minutes under, I still think I'm really competitive.
Hmm.
And you know, especially like Tour de Bretagne, I did have carry some illness through that race, but that type of racing where it's literally up, down all day, only say 1 2 minute climbs max, really. But it's just it all adds up really, and then it's kind of a reduced bunch at the end of the day. That type of racing is kind of where I find myself feeling the best and being the most competitive, really. So a puncher slash classics guy, yeah, definitely. I find myself fitting into that role more and more, actually.
Yeah, it certainly comes across that way. Like a day for the tough guy kind of seems to suit you.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Roubaix,
definitely.
obviously Roubaix as a junior getting 11th.
Yeah,
Roubaix as a under 23 first year. Um,
yeah,
it looked like you were slightly in a support role because Albert
yeah, yeah.
Philipsen and Jacob can't say his name, but Jacob,
Soderquist, yeah.
yeah, they got 1 and 2. So it's like you were the team's like third best finisher, I think. But that's because
Yeah,
two of them were on the podium. So it's like it's a bit hard
exactly.
to top
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I'd say like team's third best finisher doesn't sound great,
Eh,
but then when you put it into perspective, you know, I was really that was probably my highlight of this year, if I'm totally honest. Roubaix,
yeah,
obviously, such a good atmosphere. As U23, it was longer than the juniors, and atmosphere also on the course was even better. Um, but yeah, that day obviously we had the team meeting. I think it was pretty clear from even the start of the season. That's a big goal for the team. We won it. We've won it. The team's been around for 2 years now, 2 seasons. We won both years pretty convincingly, or at
yeah.
least this year anyway. A 1-2 with a solid gap was pretty crazy. Like even more than we imagined could have happened. Um, but yeah, it was pretty evident that those two were our leaders and those guys were there to support them. We were all there in good shape. You know, we had a really, really strong team. Like I said, by far the clear favourites, and we carried a lot of confidence into the race from like start to finish. Literally from the beginning, the neutral pulled off. Us guys got to the front, pretty much just made a bit of a barrage. Like a couple of guys went in the break, made barrage, and we just controlled it completely until the first sectors controlled it through there, and we kind of had a plan that Albert would go on Mons and Pavel, which
Hmm.
I want to say is around 50k to go, like around that mark.
Yeah.
So the sector before, we pretty much just had like a full gas lead out. It's a tough one as well. I believe it might be like a 3 or 4 star. It's a tough one, slightly uphill, and it's always affected by crosswinds as well. So you
Okay.
know we had either a 6 or 7 man team, and we pretty much blew through. Well, there were 4 of us left at the end of that sector. We'd gone super deep and strung it out just through maybe like a couple K. And there was minimal guys up at the front by that point, maybe like 30 guys at the front from a massive peloton before. And then it was down to me and a guy called Christian Egon. kind of just like rotating on the front, keeping things strung out between the previous sector and Mons and Pavel. I kind of just did like a bit of a death pull to the bottom of Mons and Pavel to get Albert and Jakob there first and second, and they just lit it up. And I pretty much was just pedaling squares at the start of Mons and Pavel, like really, really suffering. And like I said, that's a 5-star sector, so I got through that sector like suffering like a dog, like just in need of some recovery after going pretty deep to set things up for them. And it obviously we set them up perfect, which was great, like job done. And from there, it was kind of like about trying to make the most of that race and try to get a result out of it for myself, because my job was done. And I came out of that sector maybe in a group for like 25th, I'd say. So yeah, not too bad. Like still salvaged like an all right place, and I kind of sat in, recovered a little bit, and I felt great. Honestly, it was a race that I peaked for, and I ended up just attacking, like moving group to group, and I got to car 4, the car 4 de Labre, and I also attacked the group for 20th maybe, and bridged over with one other guy to the group for 8th or top 10, I believe. So yeah, like things were going great, but then 4K to go. There's like a little, they call it Col de Roubaix. It's just literally just a little drag, nothing much to it. But at the end of that race, it can crack you, and it got the better of me after such a hard race. 4K to go, fighting for top 10, and I think literally got into the velodrome on my hands and knees and got swallowed up by the group behind. So, like I said, my job was done. I would have liked a top 10 would have been insane as well, but even the 20th place finish, which is what I got that day, I'm really happy with that result. It kind of just shows that I got a bit of potential for the future, and hopefully next year, after kind of sacrificing my race, but it was all part of the plan. Like I was more than happy to do it with such strong leaders as well. Yeah. Hopefully next year I get my own opportunity to fight for personal position, and yeah, it's probably one of my biggest goals next year, I would say, Roubaix.
Oh, no. Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. We kind of got interrupted, and we just thought it's easier to reset. But like, you've been in races before, I'm sure, where you've been completely just shelled from a group and dropped, like, on a hill or whatever.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Like, is it better to get like made empty by like someone else just absolutely drilling it, or does it feel better to do that death pull and be the one kind of inflicting that on others and then going, yeah, that's me, empty too?
Yeah. No, I get the question. Like it's much more satisfying, I would say, working and kind of draining yourself for another teammate. A good example is Ron Desart. Like, it was not a race for me at all. In the Pyrenees, every day is pretty much either mountaintop finish or mountains the whole way through the stage. We had a GC leader there, Liam O'Brien, and pretty much every day it was just like, all right, hit the front, just go as long as you can up this climb, like see how hard you can push it, and then make your way to the finish for another good day in the bag. And that was really rewarding. It was actually one of my favourite race trips this year. While I didn't get a great result myself, it's obviously about the learning. It's about helping Liam try to get the best result he can as well. But yeah, it's actually satisfying working for a team and teammate, and trying to empty yourself as much as you can. But like I said, getting distanced is completely the opposite. If you're getting distance out of a group, there's nothing satisfying about it. You're just really suffering, and you can just see them riding up the road. Yeah, it's pretty obvious for me.
Yeah, of course. I'll try and keep things brief because I don't want to take too much more of your time. So one question that I've started asking people is, so if in this hypothetical world I can make you an offer that you can win any race, okay? Like, go as wild as you like, go like, I want to win a Links League round in the Immingham or something stupid, or like, I don't even know, like a crit round Bury Centre. Or you could go like, I want to win Flanders, but that's the only race you're ever winning. You only get to win it once. You can't go, I'll back-to-back it. No, you win it once. Okay. That's it. No other races. What are you picking and why?
I wouldn't say it's controversial by any means, but the Olympic road race.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just find, at least as a Brit, I know Team GB, we always perform well at the Olympics. And I don't think it holds as much prestige even as a world champs or stuff like that in cycling anyway. But for me, the Olympics has always been something I've watched from being young. Before I even started watching cycling, I was watching the Olympics, and it really captivated me. And I've always wanted to go. Never mind, get a medal or anything. So, and my dad also went when he was my age. Actually, I think he went when he was 19. And got a bronze. So I kind of my career goal is to outdo that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not to outshine my dad or anything, but I think it would be really cool to try and follow in his footsteps and get a medal at the Olympics. So winning an Olympic gold would be insane. So if there was going to be one race, no matter how far-fetched, it would probably be Olympics.
Yeah, and we've already kind of touched on the goal for next season. Obviously, if I had a bit longer, I would have probably asked about the crash during Nationals, which looked pretty nasty and took you out for a lot of the sort of summer season. But what are the kind of general aims for the following year? Have you even had discussions on which races you're going to do, or is it still up in the air?
Yeah, I've had discussions. I've had a lot of time to think about it, like you said, after the crash. It was at Nationals. It's almost straight in the middle of the season, if not right before the middle of the season. So this first year as U23, I did learn a lot, but for me, it's been just a year of I'm trying to think of the right word, really, but just persistence, really, just pushing through. Just had almost issue after issue, especially with that crash at Nationals, it wasn't great. So I've had a lot of time to think about it, and as part of my comeback. And for next year, like I said, Roubaix is a huge goal. I would really like to do well at Nationals again. In the TT this time, U23 Nationals TT would also be quite a big aim for myself. And then probably either Baby Giro or L'Avenir, riding that, seeing what I can do. Those are probably the 3 goals for next year, as well as just again, learning. Obviously, when I broke my neck, it was really unfortunate. I had 2 years signed with Lidl, and the team have been amazing, to be honest. I broke my neck, and within a week, they had a contract on the table for me to extend further. Just kind of don't stress about your neck. Just get back to good health, and really don't worry about future in the team. You're going to have it. They saw potential from the start of the year, and they're really pleased with how things were going. And so with the support of the team and stuff like that, I'm back kind of to where I was at this point last year, and just motivated to keep building on that and hit those 3 goals next year in top shape, really.
Yeah, nice. So how can people find you on social media so that they can keep up with what you're up to and see how the race and the season is progressing?
Probably just Instagram, really. I don't tend to use Facebook or Twitter, really. So yeah, just Instagram at Seb Grindley.
Yep, lovely. That'll be on screen as we speak. And yeah, thank you so much. I can't wait to see how you get on next year. We'll be following the results, and yeah, it's been lovely catching up.
Yeah, nice one. Nice to speak to you again.
Well, there you go. That was our chat with Seb. As I say, he's a great guy. It was really good to catch up, and I can't wait to see what another year of progress brings to him. It's hugely exciting. It'll be great to see him back on the bike. And yeah, let's see how things go. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.